In the context of internet-based challenges, there exists this odd subgenre known as challenge months. These challenges typically ask the participants to abstain from a particular activity for the duration of an entire month. But there's one challenge month that really stands above all the rest, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you're already very familiar with it. No Nut November. Now, the name of this challenge is pretty self-explanatory, but basically the way it works for those who don't know is that for the entire month of November, you're not allowed to masturbate or ejaculate. A daunting task, I know, but over the years, thousands of people have stepped up to the plate and attempted, or at least claimed to have attempted, this feat. So why is this a thing? Where did No Nut November even come from? The challenge became somewhat of a popular meme on Twitter in 2017, but its origins stretch back a little over a decade, stemming from a hallowed tradition that existed over on 4chan. Today I'm going to tell you all how the seed for No Nut November was planted, and how it grew to the annually celebrated tradition that it is today. Real quick, before we get started, I want to thank The Ridge for sponsoring today's video. They make these sleek metallic wallets that go in your front pocket. On the Ridge website, you'll find the wallets come in various materials from aluminum to titanium to carbon fiber, so there's plenty to choose from. And there's a plethora of colors to pick from as well. I've got a 10% off link in the description box I want you guys to take advantage of. That's ridge.com/surf, and use code SURF on their website to save 10% off your order. And that includes free worldwide shipping. So make sure you guys check the Ridge out, and major thanks to them for supporting the channel. Anyways, let's get on to the story. I want to start us off here by saying the concept behind No Nut November is by no means novel. Rather, it's a reiteration of the many nofap challenges that have existed on the internet since the mid to late 2000s. The first documented nofap challenge online occurred in October of 2006 on a Subaru enthusiast forum of all places. While this one never really got popular, this is the first example of a nofap challenge of this sort. This one was called the Master of Your Domain Iron Man competition. I hereby declare that on this day, October 30th, 2006, the first official off-topic Master of Your Domain Iron Man competition shall commence. Starting at noon today, persons in sexually active relationships, married persons, and persons who engage in sexual activity get 1 point for every 6 hours they go without porn or fap. Persons who abstain entirely from any sort of sexual activity get 2 points for every 6 hours. Of all places for a concept like this to start off, a Subaru enthusiast forum. Anyways, this challenge was pretty much confined within that forum, but eventually the idea spread over to 4chan, and this led to the creation of the first actually popular nofap challenge. That challenge being B's NoFap September, which began on September 1st of 2009. The rules were a bit different from the Iron Man challenge and are more akin to the rules of the modern No Nut November challenge. You weren't allowed to beat off for the entire month of September, but you were allowed to engage in intercourse with another person. So aside from extreme boredom, what was the motivation for the Anons on B to create this absurd challenge? Well, in August 2009, a B user stumbled across this scientific article published from a study that took place in China. And the study suggested that prolonged periods of ejaculatory abstinence could have some good health benefits. The study, published all the way back in 2003, is called A Research on the Relationship Between Ejaculation and Serum Testosterone Level in Men. Basically, for 30 days, researchers took serum testosterone levels from 28 male volunteers. At the beginning of the study, the volunteers were required to ejaculate, and they would remain abstinent for the remainder of the study's duration. After the study's completion, the researchers made the discovery that ejaculatory abstinence actually significantly increased the serum testosterone levels of its volunteers, with test levels peaking on the 7th day of the study at 145.7% of their baseline testosterone levels. Once B discovered this study that promised them Chad levels of testosterone, with the only requirement being masturbation avoidance, the very first NoFap September was initiated, and essentially they popularized the NoFap challenge concept. Thousands on the site would claim to participate, and it would become an annual tradition on 4chan that is still practiced to this day. As time went on, the concept of NoFap began to spread across other facets of the internet. And in 2011, we saw the formation of arguably the internet's largest masturbation abstinence support group, Reddit's NoFap subreddit. While 4chan mostly saw the concept of nofap as a tongue-in-cheek joke, Reddit's nofap subreddit had a far more serious outlook on the matter. The subreddit became a hub for those who felt as if masturbation and pornography were becoming detrimental aspects of their lives. It became a genuine self-help group. Users were encouraged to post threads detailing their struggles controlling urges, to share their progress with other nofap participants, and discuss their anecdotal cognitive changes since becoming abstinent. Here's an example of some nofap thread titles so you can get an understanding of what the subreddit is all about. I feel like how I felt when I was a kid before I discovered pornography. Anyone else feel the same? Day 7, feeling confident. I like urges because it's a normal human trait. I like beating urges because that way I can conquer myself. Instagram is a huge trigger. I relapsed. This subreddit can be a bit weird and obsessive at times, but overall I reckon it's a pretty wholesome place, and it's garnered over 512,000 members since its creation. People on the subreddit seem to be really focused on self-improvement and discipline building, so I can't really joke on it too hard. Shout out to them and best of luck to those on there trying to make it through this month's No Nut November. Speaking of which, 2011 is where we saw the first mentioning of the phrase No Nut November. It all started on Urban Dictionary with an entry created on November 3rd by user BigBoy6969696969. Seeking to undermine the popularity of No Shave November, Big Boy came up with the idea for No Nut November. Here's his original entry. No Nut November. A challenge akin to No Shave November, except that in this challenge an individual must not masturbate for the month of November. You can, however, engage in sexual intercourse with your girlfriend or wife during this time period, if you have one. Are you going to be participating in No Shave November this month? No, man, it's all about No Nut November. Now, Big Boy was clearly influenced by 4chan's NoFap September concept, and his idea here is pretty derivative, but you've got to admit, No Nut November just rolls off the tongue like 10,000% better than NoFap September. And I think that's really where the beauty lies in No Nut November here. Big Boy's dream of creating a new NoFap month wasn't achieved immediately, but eventually it would come to fruition. Fast forward to 2017. It's late October and there are whisperings of the phrase No Nut November being picked up by Google Trends. It's unknown where the chatter was coming from, but this was the first time the phrase had been mentioned online since Big Boy created it all the way back in 2011. It became apparent that someone had big plans for it. Everything would be revealed on November 1st as the seed planted nearly 6 years earlier by Big Boy finally sprouted. And I really think the best way to show you how the first No Nut November kicked off is with 3EO's YouTube video that he uploaded. In the early morning hours of November 1st, YouTuber 3EO posts a video titled Welcome to No Nut November, in which he tells us, "Today marks No Nut November. What is No Nut November, you may ask? I'll explain the details. Everyone loves nuts, but this month is dedicated to keeping hands off those nuts. So for this reason, I implore every man and woman to participate in this event, including myself. I believe in you. And remember, hands off those nuts." And after issuing out his challenge, he ends the video with this. Aside from 3EO's video, Twitter posts from users claiming to be participating in the newly dubbed No Nut November were showing up as well. Not even a day into No Nut November and I've already beat my meat like it owes me money. Day 2 of No Nut November. When going pee, I have refrained from even touching my penile region. I just pull my pants down and look away. No Nut November became a popular point of discussion on Reddit, and even 4chan was willing to give a nod to No Nut November with various boards challenging each other to participate. At this point, No Nut November had gone viral, and even mainstream outlets were writing articles about it. Its popularity would dwarf that of NoFap September, the NoFap challenge that preceded it. Generally speaking, there aren't any real official rules ascribed to No Nut November, but there are two commonly accepted sets. There's the rule set defined by Big Boy's original Urban Dictionary post that says masturbation is forbidden, but intercourse is allowed. And then there's the more strict rule set that forbids any and all ejaculation period, including ejaculation caused by intercourse. I think the latter is more appropriate given that the name of the challenge is literally No Nut November, as in none at all. But I certainly can respect those who follow the original Big Boy rule set because he is the OG that came up with the name. The whole month of November was a continuous meme fest, and the first annual No Nut November was a massive success. And it would return in full force in 2018, bringing a brand new set of no-fap related memes along with it. At the time of me creating this video, we are now smack dab in the middle of No Nut November 2019. And this year, No Nut November is being strongly associated with the Coomer Wojak, in what is being called the Coomer Pledge. Basically, in this year's No Nut November, if you participate and end up jacking off before the month ends, you have to change your avatar to the masturbation addicted Coomer to signal your failure in the No Nut Challenge. We've even got some articles popping up this year that's saying No Nut November is like an alt-right associated sort of holiday or movement. Journalists, you might be reaching on this one, okay? I don't get political too often, but you might be reaching. But in conclusion, guys, No Nut November is yet another example of the internet's fascination with challenges. And in a way, No Nut November is almost a meta satire of internet challenges in general, just because of how absurd it is. I think No Nut November is here to stay, and it's going to return year after year because every time it comes around it brings a slew of hilarity alongside with it. But anyways guys, let me know what you thought about this video, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. Major shoutouts to my patrons, I appreciate you guys. Wavywebsurf out, peace.